He's really funny, but he's shown me a lot. What is woke? We've accepted gay transgender. They're the criminals. Well, you know what civil law is? Well, I got some here. I'm trying to get civil law because in a criminal case, it's a defined criminal law system. The one that's steal money and it's civil law, right? That's not quite. It's still got to be judged, but it's judged on a financial level, so we can get money on them. If you put them in jail, that you don't get money out of them. They just let them out again. But I've done that a few times. The cop said to me, the staff sergeant, "Hey, Greg, what? We got good news. We're putting them in jail for 5 years, but you don't get money out of it." So that's criminal law. But he can steal thousands. Oh, he embezzled a lot of money. He's a con artist. But what is a civil situation? Well, it's people steal money on you. You can't get a friggin' lawyer. And I'm starting to question the legal system. I wonder if it's a money racket laundering system. So I went right to the direct thing, and I've got enough files, so I'm going up to Ottawa, but they only do certain law. Well, I'm just going to put it together and find maybe a kid that'll do it that's got postgraduate. Somebody that's separate and wants some money. Because I'm looking at a lot of money here. And then I put it together and I get you can get settlement.org to fund it and get a lawyer. But I found one. It's the one trial, but stop funny. See, using AI is not woke. I could use AI for a lot of things, but it answers a lot of my questions, and I put it through without the biases. And I'm figuring out things. Oh boy, I've got more case on me, more money coming in than I ever thought. And I can't live here. And he says, well, we'll just cut your phone plan back. No, I need it because I'm calling Australia. You can't call Australia unless you have a phone plan and Wi-Fi. It won't come down more. And the food prices aren't coming down. What are you talking about? I'm getting out of here. Well, they'll sue you. No, they can't. Did you know that? I can go up there and the tribunal. If I don't answer that, I'm getting a lawyer to stop that. And I'll show it on there. I'll get this through. I'm taking a bus, and that's one day before the tribunal. Yeah, they said, well, that's not their fault. Well, location is their fault. They're supposed to look at the area that seniors can live. You put this here, it might be your fault. We'll let the judge do it with it. Because I'm using the federal government, not the provincial. I'm just wokey here. They're cutting funds out and everything on seniors. So I'm using elder law. I got police reports. I got medical reports. I'm backing my barn up. But what's woke? Is it the gay, transgendered, all this stuff? It's the problem. You know what that is? Anybody that's got a problem with that stuff, it's got a phobia, though it's not in the DSM. It's a phobia. It's homophobia. And then there's xenophobia. Oh, yeah, we've proven that. The oil companies and fascists are using this against us. Now, am I against oil? Well, I think Mark Carney's program is going to get you keep the fossil fuel. And I'm talking a lot of Canadians, especially businessmen that got brains. Not like that kid. They got brains and they got money. And is it wrong to have money? I think you should have money. I think you should have a house to live in and food on the table and not living on the food bank because of the wokeness here. Attack dogs are not really problem solvers. Problem solver is looking for the positives. Mark Carney is a professor of international. He's working with the United Nations. He's working with the Bank of England. Goldman Sachs can be a good bank if there's gold in the sack. Same with all our banks. But she's attached to pipelines with fluctuating derivatives. It won't work. But look what Dougie's done. He's a conservative, Doug Ford, and I think he's making sense, Doug. You're taking all that junk off the market there for Trump. You don't want to be a part of that. And I think you're seeing things right. Well, not the gold mines. So Carney's taking money and putting it into the, because they have no money. Of course he's going to take it and put it in there. But is he going to take all the gold out? Tell me if he's going to take all the gold out of the reserves. They are finding gold in Ontario, lots of it. How much? Well, you're digging up bituminite fuel. How much is that going to last? Well, you got to frack and destroy and cause earthquakes and everything. And then the factions of value. How much does it cost to mine gold compared to oil rigs and pipelines and all this externalities of the Keynesians? That sounds like communism, Greg. No. It's just another economic model. It's not looked at. Listen, I've been studying economics for a while because I got an offer to get my MBA for an Australian business. And you might call them communists, but they go over to the coffee shop and get a Tim Hortons coffee, but it doesn't mean he owns the place. They're trading with China, and I got some of the Beijing's incredibly advanced economy. And they're not going woke. They got rid of the libertarian liberals. I don't think they'll get them back for a while. But there's a few libertarians out there that are saying crazy things. He's looking off Newcastle. I used to look out there, and there's a hell of a lot of oil rigs that could flood oil into the beaches. Oh, they look ugly. They're wind turbines right off the coast. They're not taking up land space. The renewable energy, the milk cow that never runs out of milk. But this is the milk cow blues, the oil fields. And they know that I've been out there. They're fracking all over the damn place, shipping men out all over the place to find oil platforms. How much does it take? And then, we got another one, Nexus. I was looking at them out there. Boy, that's a real good one. You know, I call it, and he looked at Jordan Peterson. I think he's calling it a spade, a New Zealander. He says and that's what Helen Edwards and Canberra says. Illuminati. Really order like they're really dark. Well, that fat oil is from Rockefeller Revolution. It's rubbish. You know, cars used to run on biodegradable fuel, but we need fuel for land. Yeah. I'm looking around here why half the food right there going out to the road aggregate to feed cars. There's no farms. No, we got to have more road aggregate to keep the fossil fuel clips going. You know, and he's talking, right? I ride a bicycle, ride a motorcycle will cut your fuel costs down, or get a smaller car, one car, and budget and car share and use buses. Doug's put a lot of bus services all across Ontario. I thank you, Doug Ford. You're making sense. Now, getting to work all the time. Do we need to work so hard? Not when we've gone through COVID virus and found the people that survived was using computers, not with social media, but with multi-income streams and connections. How much does it take to learn that? Well, the federal government had a lot of plans up there. That program ran out, but I'm going to go up and see what I can get. Maybe Carney would get more going. And if he's going to open up the provinces that we just one license, we can do trade all over Canada. You can travel and have a good life. Like the hotels are a lot better than living in these dump holes where you can't get food. Live on the road. You can't live in mobile homes anymore. No, they're cutting that in BC. But you can, you make enough money on the road, you can travel. Stop at, good hotels. Use Apple Pay with your credit card. Anything. A lot of these cards are hooking up to everything. Why would we worry about this? Now, I got some drop trade sales. Not much investment. How much do you put into this money racket called housing free market? And how much do you make? He said I made. He said in the bar last night I make 1 million. That's all. And then you're making everybody starve. Well, I can make a lot more selling this drop seed international gemstone sale. A lot more, far more. And it's just invest $650 to get the entire platform. Runs on the iPad, iPhone, everything. $650 my own platform. Pew! I don't need the bricks and mortar. I get the orders in. I link it up to my website. People come in. I want that and that and that and that. And that. I'll drop sale. Usually, you have to have a wholesaler. No, what investments have we got here? Well, when Mike Schreiner won and the Green Party won in Ontario, won 2 seats. Doesn't sound like much, but it's a nice seat for renewable energy company. It just gave a whole pile of investments. Is that gonna? And I think that I said, what about Doug Ford? He's seeing that to go along with this. It sounds like it's making sense. So he's changing because we got a lockdown system. So I'm not against Doug Ford. I'm for Doug Ford when he got rid of that Jewish shooting. He says you can get the hell out of Ontario, and he helped our cops get them out. Thanks, Doug. I'm not against you now. I'm seeing a man that's making sense as a conservative, but he's not red liberal like they have on LinkedIn, on Twitter, twat. The twit box, they got him as a red liberal. He's not red liberal. He's working to save the province. So, we're getting partisan again. And that's what they said. Doug's going to work with us on this. Because what is what is. And he probably knows that putting money into not having renewable sectors costing him money. They're paying money for my seniors to pay for this hydro. It's his cash. So he knows economically he's got to have this cash coming in. Like I got what is it? It's called Power Stream. It's all paid for. I got about $1,500 in credit, but it's still their money. But the house rentals are going up, and this food is not coming down. It's gone up because of the free market system. And if crime is anything, put them all in jail. Put me in jail. Maybe I'll have to rob you from the old apple orchard. I'll tell you something. The crime is caused by a free market system, Yep. Free market system is killing the kids. Of course there's crime. There's always going to be crime. We can't contain it. They got to have a future. They're angry, and so they take drugs and synthetics. They got no hope. They can't get a job without a house to live in. What the hell's wrong with you? You're woke. Is it the gay transgender people? No, I don't think so. Is it Mark Carney giving the gold all over to? No, I don't think so. I think he's taking gold that we have, using the Commonwealth country to make Britain strong, make our system stronger as a united Commonwealth. Now, Australia's having a gold rush, and we are too. We've found a lot of gold. We found it up in northern Ontario, and we're finding gold in Quebec, and they're finding gold in the rivers of BC, lots of it. Prospectors, boys and girls, this needs to get in the banks. It costs a lot of money to buy an ounce of gold. It's a lot of money. But what is gold? If the banks have no money in the bank, you're going to get insurance. They got to be backed up with something to pay off anything that they pay for, right? So the bank has to have money that's gold, solid gold, to back up the banks. Am I making sense? There was one time before Richard Nixon screwed the markets, before he got into this fractional reserve banking. And don't listen to the lies. The banks are broke. I tell you, a billionaire that lives down in San Jose that's a Canadian. He's not Kevin O'Leary. He knows to stay out of the United States. He knew this was going down. He says that it's about $37 billion of deficit in the United States. And I've seen the records. Yeah, I've seen CIA files on this. Why? Because she's from Canberra and she showed me every document. This has been flooding through, not a legal stream, it's been flooding through some low money exchanges like Wells Fargo. Tons of it. And it's even CIA documents proving this. That's in Australia. That's why the markets went up. And she finally, I think, with the new prime minister, got the message through. I had some Aussie there. He says, Mike, just pay it over to Ross. Says, well, you going to eat them? You got to get the markets down. She says, she's bloody dog food. I don't care if she's bloody dog food, Mike. She's looking at the market system and where this inflationary cycle is. And I think the Labour Party's starting to tailor it down. So what I'm looking at now is like Ralph Carney. We need a coalition government, a democracy. We got rid of that with Stephen Harper. Think about it. At the end, when Stephen Harper was getting out, it was a progressive conservatives contacting me. We got to get rid of this guy. He's crazy. Did you know that? Did you know the progressive conservatives are writing me? We're not like that. This is this idiot we got here. Now he's promoting this JoJo. And look at the no transparency in these papers. There's none. But you can draw up a conclusion that in 2015 they formulated the Sun and the Toronto Sun and the Calgary Sun. Same thing, same stories. They joined together, and they're going against CBC and all these other papers. So I'll tell you something. I got a call from friends of CBC. Maybe they're factual information. I think you should think of this. They said they're taking out the archives. My husband is working for Friends of CBC to support CBC not being taken out. I'm going to tell you some things that got that started with the CP Rail. He broke down arbitrations and everything, Stephen Harper. It was closing down the part of it was Stephen Harper. Never fixed it. We got a lot of repairs to do for the damage of Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper's done a lot of criminal actions. David Suzuki says, I'm 80 years old, and I'll just say it right. I'm an environmental auditor. From in jail, up in one of those places who's going to put people up for smoking weed. Well, do you have enough room for them there? But I'll tell you, it's lots of room for Stephen Harper. Dr. David Suzuki said, what do you want on your birthday? I want a key toss. Where? Take him, throw him in that jail cell. You can't say that, Dr. David Suzuki. Why not? I'm 80. What are you going to do? Kill me? Whatever time's coming. Just throw him in there, and I'll have a key toss in the deepest part of the Arctic Ocean. Let him rot in there. He's one of these oil mongers. What was the Conservative Party? Why Rose formulated with the Reform Party of Preston Manning. Okay. Brian Mulroney was conservative, fiscally, economic conservative. I mean, he was even greenest prime minister in Canada, Brian and Ben. Ben, his son. There's nothing wrong with them. But reform is like Calvin. He created the witch hunts. He brought it into Salem, Massachusetts, and they wanted to add a little bit more reform to the system. Well, he edged it up, called the Salem witch hunts, and crushing people to death with rocks on them and dying slow, or witch burning, or hanging, or swinging. That was what Calvinism, to put a little more edge into the system of the Quakers, which was a peaceful people, but it was a reformist move. So he was a reformist. Am I putting a story here? Canada was doing pretty good under Pierre Trudeau. It was a unified country. It wasn't divided. And Canada was running on equalizations for each province, not just for them. Yeah, the equalizations started going out to Alberta and the Oil Patch Kids. And none of the other provinces are getting it. So you see the Maritimes are really poor. I've been out there. Face it. And then you got the Conservatives in there. The Liberals are charging a lot of tax, the provincial Liberals. But remember, the provincial, there's a lot of tax. But you could have gone maybe Cape Breton should have won the Independent Party and drove up the drawbridge there. What'd they do? They came in, clear cut out the Cape Breton Highlands. Remember that, boys? Yeah, they promised you. Well, the coal mines went out. It was killing a lot of coal miners, the deep. So they got the Liberals in, and they were expensive. The taxes were really high. Yeah, there was something going on there. But then remember, they're liberal of the province of Nova Scotia, not liberal of the federal Liberal. And I was out there, and it's hell out there. There's a lot of people looking for work. So I talked to the party for Cape Breton, the Capers, and they were talking about an independent party. And they knew under the sanction that they could split and draw that bridge up there over Cape Breton to maybe stop that taxation. Well, I looked at them there, and they all of a sudden elected the for Cape Nova Scotia Conservative Party. How did that work out? Well, the hospitals got scammed. All the medical files out in Nova Scotia, yeah, in one big pot. And also, they started suing. He's suing because he took his wife in, Tresage, for a 38-year-old girl waiting 12 hours, and she died. Yeah, he's suing the government. And then the housing market went up. And there's no housing out there now. They only want to have seniors that are residents. They don't want you out there. So, it's a nice Capers place. But there's no climate change. Well, I don't know. Those fishermen are saying you go up there and they're fishermen by Dubai, and they're getting great white sharks coming up Gulf Stream in the hot water. The water streams coming up. So that's climate change coming up through the coast and raising the environmental factors in the thing. And I guess they're saying it's smoking related. The fires in Alberta, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's climate change. And I'm just going to shoot the whole picture there. I was looking at that. That's I was up in Banff, 7.6 Richter. Where is it related to? Fracking in the northern part of Alberta. The unforgivable truth. Boom! That's a big Richter scale because it's splitting it's creating fracting in the granite in the land. Any scientist might tell you that. But look at the nexus there, aren't they funny people? That's another book worth burning. Have a bonfire with that, and then they're going to give you travel documents to fly on fossil fuels. Look at all the people that are getting demonized for coming out with new fuel sources. That's why it's in this. Sir Richard Branson coming out with a new type of fuel source for high altitude private jets. They're going to kill them. See, kerosene is expensive and everything goes up, so we come up with a new fuel source. It might be a biofuel or something. But I don't know. Oh, let's demonize hydrogen economy that Australia's coming out. I've seen them do that too. They're Russians. They are. You know, what's coming out of that fuel pipe? Water. And that hydrogen engine has got more BTU power than it's a new engine that the Germans are building for the Mercedes. It's not electric. It's hydrogen because they got a lot of wind and sun, and that's what's going to make them a superpower. Now, we could be a superpower. We're going to start using our resources of what we have, gold, and build on your asset of a house. Doesn't that sound fair, kids? You know, they used to have the commercial, you want your kids to leave home? Quit cooking with cheddar cheese. Well, I think you want kids to leave home, you give them a house and they got a place of their own. Because granny and granddaddy don't want to be refereeing a wife and his son-in-law, or either way. They don't allow granny fats. So I think a house sounds like foundation, value. Because I know I'm pulling out value on things that are junk. No selling anything to keep above this free market system. I bought a charger there for that phone. I think I got 100% on her. I'll go for a walk with her. But value means that charger made me. I think I got about 4 recycles and 6 charges. But she's dead. She's completely friggin' dead. So is that value? You know, I was learning that in college. You know, what is value? They used to use those techniques in stores and just change the sign around to fool people. The professor showed me this up in Algonquin years ago, and we were talking about economics of selling and putting things on the shelves. You know, you look around here, oh, that's more, and you look down there, it's a little cheaper. And then it says so many for so much. And you do the math, and it sounds like a bargain, but you buy it again. So that was something I learned in college. That was 1979, 7 to 78. I was in Algonquin. Now, Shane Moranis, he's a billionaire. Where's he from? He got a college degree in printing, 1982. Yeah, but he was following Bob Proctor, right? Bob Proctor, and he's following that method. He made about $2 million. And he transferred it to another source because he saw that going out because of the printers coming in. So he transferred it to Vancouver, started with 5 girls, built up to 102, and he was getting substitutes for coffee from the Amazon efficiently. So he took that money. He took her down to San Jose. He's a Canadian citizen. He's got a private jet that flies at 70,000 feet. and he's living down there, and he's telling me this damn place is going to crash, United States and Canada. He told me how much deficit it is. So what did Shane do? He signed up with Andrew Maguire. Watch him from the vault. They got to keep printing money. They got to keep printing money. They got to keep printing money, or the money will go up. So they came up with Kinesis stock. It comes with a credit card, a debit card. You buy it up in derivatives. You're buying gold and silver. You can put that on your phone. It's about the best damn Visa card you can have, because every time you pay with it, you're getting people under you buying, and it's building gold derivatives. Now, when the banks all go crash, which Mark Carney might stop and get some gold into them, we'll have a better system. But he did that. They did it. They got them in Australia and all over the place. And they have to have it away from the central reserve banks, because they'll confiscate it. Basically, they'll confiscate that gold. So they put it in private vaults. Now, Australia's got a private vault. I think there's one down in Texas. There's one in Zurich, Switzerland, private vault. Because it's got to be separate from that. Maybe there's some other ones. But it's a good private vault. So let's say the banks close up. That can happen. When those banks close up, they get that gold to you and that silver derivative right away. Bricks trucks, yeah, dump it on you. But I'm telling you the truth. Look it up. Go into Andrew Maguire. He says they don't like me because I tell the truth. He's up in Britain. Now, there's a lot of gold around. We're finding it in Australia. We're finding it in Ontario and all over it. But you got to buy it in derivatives, because you're at $4,000 for an ounce, because it went way up. Because everybody wants it. It drives the price up. But it is friggin' insurance. Because if you don't have gold behind the bank system, and you try to make a claim on an insurance claim, they might be tethered to that broken banking system, and there's no gold. So the psychology I'm studying is business logics and the psychology of business. It makes sense. Some of these kids are geniuses, but you might label them on another system, ADHD or something, or what you might call them, Asperger's disease, or having what they call deep focus in computer programming and coding that we need. So, the tax lobbyists could say, do we have these clinical psychologists, or shall we have the gold hunters for young people that have got a lot of talent? And what's killing companies is narcissism, covert narcissism. There's all sorts of levels of narcissism. And they'll destroy a corporation. And they won't let a young person with a lot of skills come up out of the rubble and let them talk. You'll see it. So we get that out of there, and that is a thing. And we're learning psychology of developing creativity with logic skills and tethering up on things. Now, this is a better psychology. It's not label. Here's a singer-songwriter. She went to a shrink and labeled them because she's dealing with minors and majors and moods and everything of emotion. And she got labeled bipolar. She said, now I don't know what to do. I fired the idiot, but I got this label on me. The mark of the beast of clinical psychiatry. So I think that ivory tower should be taken down, and we just get into business of value. And I pulled that card out today, and it said value in the Oracle deck. And that's what I'm getting. I use Oracle decks because I don't know anything. This is one hand clapping, so I use an Oracle deck. Let's see. And yeah, I'm a bit of an intuitive. I'm an energy healer. And I'm going to try a shuffle here to see where we are as people in Canada. I think I got a card there. That one there, the sun, but it's upside down. The sun. It's in a teacup. What's that mean? It's number one. So number one, get my glasses, because these are archetypes in oracle decks. Actually, they're a Jungian form of psychology. One, I use them. I used it in a business before. Do you know I use these for business advice? I don't have the crystal ball, but I have the dowsing chains. Now, if that's wrong, she's a billionaires that uses dowsing crystals on land, property, and everything. Billionaires. She pulls out a crystal dowser. They're made to find gold, everything, silver, and property value, and everything. Because it's one hand clapping. No, we're all connected in this universe. Reverse, it says the creative project may be blocked as a creative being stifled in some way. These challenges could be imposing an outer source, so they could actually come from within. You stand in your way, stopping self-expression, fear, and doubt. Well, that's what he's putting into me, fear and doubt, so I'm ignoring him. I'm getting around it, and I'm going up to Ottawa. It's exactly that. I keep on pulling that card out every time. And he says, you listen to me, Greg? How can I listen to you? You're fear-based. You don't know I've been all over Canada with less money. I know the law. I know they can't take that pension. And I'm going to scan everything in the phone. And I'm heading out to Ottawa on the bus. And I get out there, I know what to say. And I'll get legal help. I think I found the right one with AI. You know, it's my hunt. It's my prospector. AI finds the right lawyers. And it's a one-trick pony lawyer. It's a civil litigation firm for elders that have been taken down. They know where the money is. There's lots of this going on, so I found it. But you know, you gotta get an AI hunter, the prospector of AI. Now, AI can be a bad thing. You can use it for porno, girl, artificial porn, or you can use it for as a humanist. And now Sturgeon Peterson has attacked the humanist people that use logic and everything. His psychology isn't humanist; it's clinical. And the humanists will use technology in business. He's not a businessman. He's a guy that's getting paid by Exxon Mobil. I hate to say it. No, they come in and attack me. That's all right. Because I'll say, you know, you choose what you want. You want to be working for the rest of your life in Slaveville? You know, there's a theory in things, and that's what Eckhart Tolle said. Know where the gold is, and ask, how long do you have to suffer to wake up? How long do you have to suffer to wake up? And through suffering, we awaken. Well, the awakening is to see where this free market's killing us. That could be what he means, partly. On a spiritual level, everything's connected. So I think he's talking about gold. He's talking about in the New Earth, he says it. He says the man sitting on a box begging for money. And the man on the box is saying, he says, what's in the box? I don't know. Well, this is in the first part of the New Earth. He says, open the box. It's full of gold. So what's Ontario? It's full of gold. What's Quebec? Gold. What they got? Huh? And what we got? We got housing we can't afford because of a free market racket. How many ways can I explain it? And how much? Look at the way they're pointing it. The Rim of Fire. That's where he's opened up. Yeah, there's a Rim of Fire up there. And they're doing open pit mining gold because they need it fast. But they're doing open pit mining up there in the tar sands, and that's not gold. That's black crude. And that money, it fluctuates. It always fluctuates through years. It's always fluctuated. 1980s, I was working for a guy, and he didn't know what to switch to. Well, we tried liquid propane, right? Because it was cheaper. And he ran that for a long time on liquid propane, his whole fleet. He had a good fuel source, but then the fluctuation in the market prices went up, switched back to fossil fuels. Well, he sold the company and got out. Yeah, he got out. And they were running on fossil fuels. He said, I think it's time to call it, Greg. He got out 16 million and he didn't have before. And that's enough to retire, and he's retired. His company went because the fuel prices are varying. Is it the I don't think it's the carbon tax. I don't see that. Because here's a man trying to explain how carbon tax is affecting me. Well, I'm getting carbon tax rebates, and I got some old. So I get up to Ottawa, and I'll be a bit more money. I need some equipment, and that's about a year that they didn't file on. So I get up there, and I'll file it right away. And once that's filed, I'll get that in maybe a lump sum. I don't know. And I know what I'm doing. Because I was sitting in the library and I didn't get my carbon tax. No. She says that she's sitting there getting her phone and she's getting kicked out of her house. She's a single mom. Let's talk about this. Single mom that can't afford a place. I've seen a lot of garbage going down. It doesn't matter how much welfare and how much you do it. You got to make money and make above it. And so I go into I'm trying to get just enough money in Ontario when I came back to get maybe stay somewhere and get a lawsuit. But I had been here 5 years, couldn't get a lawsuit. I kept on trying. And I was getting this message, the endless march. Round and round I go. You go up and it's so massive, the mountain. But I started thinking, Evernote's good now. So I make notes and I copy all the files. And I got one file there. I think I got enough for $103,000 and backed up by medical records. I was in the hospital, very sick for elder abuse, and that was 103 right off. And that came in 223 in Ontario. Yeah. I've had a lot of blocks. I'm trying to get help the Canadian military, and I wanted to get some money. Because the course is $7,000 for Aquinas therapy, because I am a therapist. But I couldn't get the business started, but I built it, and it's pretty well. And I'll make a lot of money on it. But I got to live on the road if I can't get a house. But actually, I'm going to rent up there. They said it's no good. Well, I look at it, it's about the only thing I can get. I buy it in block of payment, and I could stay up there for a month at a time. And I pay in blocks. And as I'm making money and I'm getting money in, I'm going to have a way to get up in this apartment with washer and dryer. So I think we should look at these things. And the psychology of this sort of creativity is a logic to it, of hooking one thing and listening to other things. You never know where it's going to lead you. So I told one girl, I can't do this for nothing. Oh, I'm a friend. I'm not going to help you. You know what? She came back. I think I'm stuck, but I'm not stuck because it forced her to do something. So when you put these markets up here, you get a lot of people saying, we want Carney. I'm talking a lot of people are suffering with this market. And, they want to get rid of the free market system. You were going to be surprised with the lies that they got on there. and the truth. Truth and consequences. Well, the truth is coming out, and we can see it with Biden in there. With Trump on these tariffs, and we can, what's worth keeping? Instagram, is it worth keeping? Is there any freedom on there? Is there any freedom on Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook? You make a joke on there, a bit of sarcasm, you're off. It's against community standards. But if you obey the law of the land and you just make a little bit of humor, they laugh. I talked to the police today. We have a chuckle, but I couldn't do that on Mark Zuckerberg's program. I ain't crack. Look at him. He's in with Trump. Save his dollars. They're watching. So, this is YouTube. It's not too bad. If you don't want the stuff you don't want to hear and you know it's rubbish, put a block on it, but it'll keep on coming back. So what you got to do is clear the cat, clear the anaerobic. Yesterday, about every 3 days, you'll get her feeding nice water fruit because a lot of it's poop. So you know how to clean up the water system on this. It says every 3 months, don't click it every 3 days or whenever you're getting rubbish, because it'll be sending garbage to you. Here's the one method I'm going to tell you. We all have this ability to know what brings us peace and what doesn't feel too good, Your gut feeling is it, and I think Dale Carnegie and boy, your gut's telling you don't feel good, trust it. And I'll tell you, things don't feel good with Jordan Peterson, don't feel good with Peter Pelly. They haven't felt good for a long time. So I started looking around. Am I getting political, partisan? No, don't get partisan. Take the bias out of that and lever up truth. There is a logic to this, and it's a good logic. Okay, and I thank Steve Boots for showing this. He's not being partisan. He's trying to mediate some common sense into you. And you got to be able to say that Steve Boots he's a booter. He's booting out all the biases in the system that isn't making sense. Now that's smoke and mirror. A smoke and mirror referee there, because we got a lot of smoke and mirrors here. And I can get partisan. Well, I can go with any partisan, but might not be good for me, because things change. They're always in a flux, and you don't know what's going on. When the housing market's up this high, maybe you should ask questions and listen to Steve Boots. I'm going to recommend him. He's not partisan. He's an educator, and he knows what he's doing. He's really an intelligent young man that's going to figure this out. You got to have a referee here, buddies. Can't be partisan.